I used to think that if I just had the right camera or the right lens or the perfect setup, I would finally create the content that I always dream about or that I always dream of. And I would spend hours and hours scrolling through gear reviews, comparing specs, convincing myself that my storytelling wasn't there yet because I was missing something. Maybe the latest gadget, some shiny new tool that would magically make everything fall into place. But the truth is, my obsession with gear was actually holding me back. And in fact, I think at times we go through cycles of being obsessed with gear. And during those periods when we're so focused on getting the next equipment or the next gear or the next upgrade, we lose track of what is really important, which is the story. As content creators, the most important thing is the story, the emotion, the message, the impact you want to have on your audience. And the truth is that you don't even really need any sophisticated gear to tell an impactful story, to tell a moving story, to build an audience that gathers around your content because of the message, of the impact. Hey, just in case it's your first time here, you're welcome to the channel. My name is Sean, and I create videos that help you to maximize your potential as a creative. I talk about topics ranging from photography to videography, graphic design, content creation, and all the associated gear and equipment that comes with that. I also like to vlog, and once in a while I do vlogs about my travels or about my outdoor adventures, like when I go cycling and so on. The whole idea is that I want to share content that inspires you to be more, to do more, and to have more. And if that sounds like something that you like, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button. Let's get back into the video. I remember the first time that it actually hit me. I had all this expensive equipment in my hands in my studio, all around the house. But whenever I sat down to edit my photos or my footage, I realized that it didn't really matter because I didn't have a compelling story to tell. The shots looked good for sure. They were sharp, they were high quality. So on my laptop, on my hard drive, I have loads and loads of high quality images, high quality footage. That has never been a problem, But the challenge is that each time I try to put them together, they just don't seem to be telling a good story, a compelling story. And then it dawned on me that no amount of gear can fix a weak story. No amount of gear can fix weak storytelling. I spent so much energy chasing perfection in terms of getting the best quality gear and equipment, forgetting what really matters, which is connecting with my audience, passing across an important message, moving people emotionally, making people think about a particular subject through your images, through your storytelling. That's what really matters. So I find that in trying to level up, many times, I let my storytelling skills slip. And when the foundation is faulty, there's very little you can do to build something that will last or something that has any value on top of a faulty foundation. So every now and then, I'm forced to rethink my approach because it can be quite frustrating to have all this gear, have all this footage, go out there to capture photos, videos, and all of those things at the highest quality, highest specs, 4K, 10-bit, 422, all those resolutions. It can be quite frustrating to have all of that, do all of that, and not know what to do with it. Not feel like you have something meaningful, a meaningful outlet to put all of these things together. So, what do we do? What do we do when we feel like we're stuck in a place, trapped, boxed into a place just because of this obsession with gear and focusing on equipment and all the technicalities and all of those things? And it's very easy for people like us to fall into that trap. People like us who love technology, who love, the creative tech out there that helps you capture these beautiful images. It's very easy for you to fall into that trap if you're like me and you're passionate about the image. Because I've always been an artist. I've always been someone who, is captivated by imagery. At the end of the day, if you really think about it, it's all visual storytelling. That's what will help you refine that art when you know that irrespective of the gear you have, you're able to tell a good story that can change minds, change lives, inspire people, lift people up, and make your world a better place. So I ask myself, what are those things that I can do to improve my storytelling? First, it's important to go back to the basics. I need to master composition and lighting, because it doesn't matter how high-tech your camera is, if you don't know how to frame your image, if you don't know how to light your subject, if you don't know how to frame your image and light your subject in a way that makes people to feel something, that draws people in. Have you seen those movies that the lighting and the composition, the imagery is just so captivating, that you just can't look away? So I think it's very important to go back to learning and mastering storytelling through composition and framing. Then there's the emotional connection, or there's the emotional aspect to it. I used to get so caught up in trying to get the perfect image that you forget the reason why people even watch movies and look at visual imagery in the first place is to feel something, is to feel a certain way. It could be to feel happy, to feel inspired, to feel moved and motivated. And so that's why my new goal now is to focus on the emotional connection that people can get through my content. What story am I trying to tell? What message am I trying to pass across? How do I want my audience to feel after watching my short video, watching my reel, watching my YouTube video, after seeing my photographs and my pictures? Do I want them to feel excited, happy, inspired, or to feel charmed and captivated? These are questions I have started reminding myself to ask before I even write that script or press that shutter or hit record. I've also realized the power of limitations. In other words, sometimes less is more. Sometimes less gear, less options. The less options you have, the more you're forced to be creative with what you have. Because I always thought that more gear would open up more possibilities for me. And in many cases, sometimes it's true that, when you have certain types of gear, it can create new opportunity or new possibilities for you in terms of creating content. But sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes when you have too many options, too many cameras, too many lenses, it all gets so confusing and you get lost in the process of planning out, in this particular scenario I'm going to use my 24-105, and in this scenario I have to switch over to the 16mm wider lens and all of that stuff. Sometimes you get so carried away and lost in all of that you forget to just focus on the scene and be quiet and breathe and think about the message, think about the story, not minding what you're using to capture it, because you'll be surprised that you may be able to capture something really, really compelling and profound with just your phone, right? On the spur of the moment, something is playing out before you, or you have some certain inspiration and you're not thinking about whether to put it on a gimbal or put it on a tripod or put the lights here or there. You're using what is available, the available lights, the available camera, and you're just creating your content and telling your stories. I think limitations sometimes can be powerful, and I think sometimes to get back into storytelling, into the art of storytelling, you have to intentionally limit yourself, limit your choices. So next time you're going out on that trip, next time you're going out and you want to do that travel vlog, just take not more than 2 pieces of gear. Just take your Pocket 3 or your action camera or your phone or your favorite camera and 1 lens and see what can happen. This is a challenge I'm giving to myself. This is a challenge I'm telling myself. Recently, I've begun to tell myself that I'm just going to use my Sony ZV-E1 just the way it is, as it is right now, on a tripod with 1 light and a microphone attached to it. And I'm not going to think about anything else, but just trying to find ways to tell stories. I think limitations sometimes can be helpful. So I'm pushing myself to tell great stories with whatever is available, because sometimes the best ideas come from working within boundaries, working with limitations. Another thing I'm focusing on is storyboarding and pre-planning. This is an area that I am really very, very weak in. I'm sometimes a little bit too spontaneous. I'm very impulsive. I just feel and then I act. I feel like I need to capture that sunset, or I peek outside my window and the autumn leaves are falling and everywhere is looking so calm and serene and beautiful, and I just want to go out there and capture. And I find that sometimes I do this even when I am creating my YouTube videos, or when I am trying to capture a documentary or something, or even just when taking photographs. So I'm beginning to tell myself that it's important to storyboard. It's important to plan your story, write out your story, plan each scene, plan each shot. In fact, some of the best creators, content creators out there that I follow, I find that this is their secret sauce. Even the ones that seem like they produce the most random and the most crazy videos, when you go behind the scenes, you find out that every scene is scripted, every line is planned, everything is well thought out, and then it all comes together in such a beautiful way that it looks so spontaneous and creative. But you find out that they spent good quality time planning and scripting and storyboarding. This is a weakness of mine, and this is something that I am really telling myself that I need to work on, because I used to just shoot everything and anything, hoping that it would come out well in post, trusting in my editing skills and my ability to put it all together after the shooting has been done. But I find that this sometimes gets me even more stuck and demotivates me over time, because at the end of the day, when I feel like I'm not producing any content that is compelling, I now feel discouraged. So now I'm setting up a goal to map out my shots, map out my scenes, even photographs, before I click that shutter. So if I'm setting out today with my camera and I want to take nature shots, what about nature shots do I really want to capture? What story do I want to tell? I think that helps. It helps to be able to know exactly what you're capturing and to see whether what you intend to capture is actually going to add to the story that you're trying to tell. Another thing is that I also want to let go of this obsession with perfection. I've come to realize that authenticity is way more important than technical excellence or technical perfection. People connect with stories that are real, unpolished, raw. Even if the footage isn't perfectly planned. Have you ever seen those movies where the camera movement seems also jerky and raw and unrefined, like it was handheld, but yet the story is so riveting, you can't take your eyes off the screen? Or have you ever come across those documentaries that you would say were poorly shot, technically speaking, but the stories are so memorable and you just can't forget the stories, you just can't take your mind off the character? So moving forward, I think I'm going to focus less on getting that perfect shot and making sure my footage is also steady and perfect and making sure that my background is looking so sexy. And I'm just going to, focus on telling stories that matter and focus on the heart of storytelling, which is honesty, which is authenticity. And that will shine through no matter the kind of equipment that you're using. Finally, I think for me, the biggest shift for me to improve my storytelling, and I would dare say for you too, if you're watching and you are passionate about storytelling, I think the biggest shift is to learn how to put the audience first. I remember I started out always thinking about how to create a good impression with the quality of my footage. Like I want people to say, wow, what camera did you use? Your lighting is so perfect. Your shots are so clean. Your photographs are so well photoshopped and all of that. Now I want to focus on how my story lands for the people who are watching my content. I want to keep an eye out on the comment section. I want to keep an eye out on the reactions. Yes, I think the real magic in being a great content creator, being a great photographer or a videographer, is that you're able to score with the audience every time. That you're able to move your audience, that you're able to move them to smile, to laugh, to cry, to forget their sorrows or their troubles, or to think more deeply about an issue, to help someone make a decision and make the world a better place. That for me is the most important thing. More important than the gear you use, the technicalities, the techniques. That's the message that I'm taking from this meditation, these thoughts. And I hope it's a message that you can also resonate with. So tell me, what do you think? That's the video for today. It's been a time of reflection for me because I was just browsing through all the content I have on my laptop and my hard drives, and I realized that I have so much footage, a lot of B-rolls. I've taken photographs, but I sometimes just feel stuck, like I don't know what to do with all of this. and I realized that maybe I'm getting it all wrong and I need to change my approach. So in summary, I'm focusing on composition and lighting. I'm focusing on working through limitations. I'm focusing on the audience. I'm focusing on authenticity, being original, being raw, real, and not trying to be too polished and too refined. I'm focusing on being my real self, because at the end of the day, you only have one life to live, and it's not the gear that you have or the equipment that you have that will really count. It's how well you live your life as a storyteller, how well you live your life as a photographer, as a videographer. That's what really matters. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for joining me on my own journey, because this is more or less also like a diary for myself, thinking about my content creation journey. I'm hoping that somehow this resonated with you, and if it did, please join me by subscribing to the channel. Drop a comment in the comment section. Make sure you check out the other videos on the channel, and as I usually say, I'll see you in the next video.